Come on now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shape the Podcast. You know me by now, Kyle Waller, your host. Um, Man, it's going to be a good episode because tonight's guest is none other than Nikki Reazola. Those of you who watched Talking Beards 2 weeks ago, you may have saw her on there. She's going to be my guest tonight. She's going to come on and talk about her personal journeys, and then she's going to talk a little bit about an awesome organization that she has called Not Rich But Enriched. She'll be coming on to talk about that. But first of all, I just want to, give a thanks to all you for the love and support for, my, my story that I did 2 weeks ago. The response has been amazing, has been overwhelming. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It's amazing how many lives are being touched by just me doing this podcast, And hey, what's up, Aaron Johnson? I see you, sir. Have a great weekend at the competition this weekend. Mr. Jeff Harris, what's up, sir? I love you. Yeah, both of you guys, you're great individuals. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing the response that I got, by people that I don't even know really, about how my story touched their lives and how this podcast is touching their lives. It's a pretty amazing thing. Second thing, I just want to bring up a big thank you to a gentleman in the bearding community. His name is Cajun Myers. I reached out to Cajun about a month ago and said, "Hey, man, can you do something for me?" Well, he did it. All right. It's a one-of-a-kind Shape the Podcast, I don't know, banner, flag, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. I mean, come on now. The whole screen. There you go. Boom. Open your face. All right. So that's amazing. Thank you, Cajun, for that. Hey, I guess Jared Menace with White Oak was probably involved in that also because Jared had to give Cajun my address because Cajun surprised me with it. And so there's that. But yeah, so I really don't want to kill too much of this person's time simply because, what up, BP? What's up, Brian Phillips? Man, great to see you a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I really don't want to waste too much of this person's time simply because they are right now on the set of Naked and Afraid in the Campground. Okay, they are they're actually celebrating their son Josiah's 16th birthday. Okay, and really it's the kids that are naked and afraid, not my guests Nikki and Lupe. They're not naked and afraid. They're probably clothed and afraid. Okay, but anyways, if you watched Talking Beards 2 weeks ago, you know who my guest is. I'm going to bring her on because she's cracking up backstage. Welcome to the podcast, Nikki Reazola. What is up? Turn your mic on because I can't hear you. Hold up.
Oh, can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect.
What is going on?
I am very afraid here. I am out in the wilderness, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. What a great day. What a time to be alive, to just kind of like kick your feet off and put your feet in the grass and just enjoy the water and the lake around, friends and family, and that's what we're doing. Hi.
Mr. Jeff Harris.
It's so
So,
cool to have
you know,
people in.
hey, before we get into it, I would just like to thank you for coming on tonight and sharing your story. You know, we've got to talk a lot here this past couple of weeks, and we've got to share some tears. You know, we both have cried to each other. We both have laughed at each other. Um, I've got to hear some kick-ass music that from artists that I never knew. So thank you for that. But you know, I know you as Nikki Reazola from the, I guess you would say the barber world plus the bearding world. Um, but there's a lot of people on here that don't know you. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll just keep the ball rolling.
Okay. I am the woman of many hats that's kind of a non-sleeper. I am a barbershop owner and a barber. I have been barbering for 11 years now. I have been in the hair industry for a really long time, so I kind of make my way around. Bearding has always been something that's been very interesting to me. This past year, we founded Not Rich But Enriched, which is our nonprofit
Yes.
organization that yeah, I'm sure you're going to have some questions about. I'm from Central Texas, Coppers Cove. Yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a student, I am a crafter, I'm a painter, I'm a poet, I'm an author. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
So
I think I
let's let.
covered everything. I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good start, right? Um, which is awesome because really what we're gonna talk about led you to all that stuff, all right? So let's dive deep. Let's get deep and personal. Let's talk about your story. You know, let's talk about from your trials and tribulations, everything that you've been through. Um, let's get into it. You know, so
yeah, sure.
I'll just let you start wherever you want to start. You know.
Hmm. Well, I was raised by two amazing individuals. My mom and dad met in Temple, Texas at a park when my dad was a soldier here stationed from Tennessee. And my mom was from New Deal, Texas, which is close to Amarillo, if people don't aren't aware of that. And they just two lost souls that just so happened to meet. They were definitely partiers. They enjoyed their time. They did not rush to have me at all. I'm 37 and my mom is 75. She had me right about she was about to have me at my age and I have
Yeah.
a 15 and a 16-year-old. So it's so wild. My parents were old school. My dad was in Vietnam. Um, Childhood was rough. Um, when I was 5 years old, my aunt died in a drunk driving accident.
Mm.
So from where we were here living in Belton, Texas, we ended up moving to be closer to my grandparents. And that's when we found out that my grandpa had Parkinson's. And then a few years later, we found out that my grandma developed dementia and then Alzheimer's. So it was kind of rough. My parents did the best that they could. Depression. My
Yeah.
dad has post-traumatic stress disorder or had. I lost my dad in 2016. He's really one of the reasons why I do all the things that I do. They're both hippies. They were amazing people. I was left alone a lot.
Yeah.
I'm an only child. I I got into a lot of trouble with my cousins.
All
Um,
right.
and I was always trying to, get in the good graces because everybody had siblings. I was the only one that was alone. Even my
Yeah.
mom had siblings. And they put me through the ringer. Like if you've ever been into a family, and I realized later that it's not normal, but like
Mhm.
I was really bullied by my family.
Yeah.
Um,
I was bullied by my brother, so I completely understand.
yeah, yeah, it was bad. Like I would get invited to parties just to get left there. I would, my cousin kind of tricked me into getting into harder drugs. Uh, I was introduced to sex at a really long, like very, very young age. And then it kind of all makes sense later now, finding out later that I'm partially autistic. They would consider it, I guess, Asperger's. Um, it's been a wild road. Like, I did a lot of things that I really wasn't proud of, trying to get in the good graces of my cousins, and
Yeah.
they really weren't the type of people. So I did a lot of drugs when I was really young. I started doing drugs probably when I was about 13. Um, I had already been raped twice by the age of 15. Um, so what self-worth do you have as a young
Yeah.
girl? You know, I had been left and dated lots of people. So you kind of get used to being left and you kind of always look for like the next step up.
Hmm.
Um, I had graduated high school early because me and my mom really didn't get along. Um, I started working in the club industry when I was 17. And then when I turned 18, I started my career as a nude exotic dancer. And I did that for several years and I had nothing to show for it.
Oh,
All the while, I finally quit because I got pregnant. After I stopped doing all of the drugs, because there was like 4 years of my life were just a complete blur because drugs, all the alcohol, all like the running around, everything was just blurry.
yeah.
And it was like I finally decided, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm 80 pounds. I throw a bag into the trash can and I moved back from where I was in Dallas back home, and I was done with it. I washed my hands of all the drugs. I've been clean ever since. And then I started going back to school, and then 6 months later, I'm pregnant.
Wow. Talk about a change.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I had been with my son's dad for probably about a year, and that's what you're taught. My family is like, well, you have a kid and the government will take care of you. You know, you could get on WIC and you can get Medicaid and you can do this and get all these things, right? So it was like, oh, well, when I told my family that I was pregnant, they were like, oh, well, at least you graduated high school. Like
Uh,
and it was like, oh, well, you're an exotic dancer. Oh, that's okay. And,
yeah.
I since then talked to my mom and, I was like, Mom, you never even like tried to like jump in and say like, hey, maybe we should, move you down a different path. And she was just like, I just never saw anything wrong with it. I never saw anything wrong with what you were
That's
doing.
that
You
that
were
and
doing it. You're an
that's
adult.
crazy.
I'm not going to tell you. And it's just
Yeah.
because, for some people, the way I say it is life is like
Yeah.
art and it's very subjective.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody's okay with doing certain things. There was theft, there was lies, there was cheating, there was anything that you could do wrong. I was probably doing it.
Yep.
And I guess and it was all for all the wrong reasons too. Like you, you take a step back and you think like, well, what if I would have done things differently? Yeah, I could have.
Hmm.
And it was always in the back of your head to do those right things. But now, as I've grown and as I've adjusted, and because I truly believe that we are who we are based on the environments that we put ourselves in.
Well, heck yeah.
So if you
Yeah. One hundred
want to
percent.
be better, you have to change your environment and you have to be
Yeah.
willing to walk away from
Yeah.
situations and places and people in order to put you on the path to where you need to be. So needless to
Totally
say,
agree.
I'm a long way from where I used to be and who I used to be and the things that I used to do. But I'm still an individual in the fact that I just don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just that. And that's what really kind of pushed me forward. Now, in the interim of all of that, now I'm pregnant. I'm with an abusive partner.
Mm.
I have my first son, Devin, who's 17 now. And that first year, there were two domestic violence calls.
Mm.
Um, alone. The worst one being when I was 3 months pregnant with my second son, and he kind of beat down a door to get to me, like knocking me in the back
Yeah.
with my son and with our oldest in my hands.
Yeah.
And it was rough. My mom was even there that day. Like it was like screaming bloody murder for them to call the police, like, because that's they fought like that. Her and my dad fought a lot, and it was very like rough.
Mm-hmm.
My dad having PTSD, nobody ever could understand where his anger came from, and it was just they would call it shell shock, but he went from 0 to 60. So that's what I thought love was.
Yeah.
You know, you're in those situations like, well, you have to do all the things right. You have to bend over backwards. You have to let them take it when they're going to take it. Like, so in the interim, you're still having all these sexual and emotional and physical things that are happening to me.
Yeah.
And as I continued going on, we split up. Then I'm pregnant. And then fast forward to right before I'm going to have my son, and I have a rollover car accident that should have killed me. 3 times I flipped and ended up in the hospital. I was in the hospital till I was in the hospital from Friday to Sunday. I got
Mm.
released. Then on Wednesday, my water broke, and then I had my son. Happy birthday,
Wow.
Isaiah. His birthday was just on the 16th.
Yes.
It's his golden year. He's a 16th
16
birthday.
at 16. Yeah.
It's crazy. I just want to pull it so much. And then fast forward a year later is when I had the biggest domestic situation that I've ever had to deal with in my life. Thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to deal with anything since then. But my ex-husband held me hostage for 4 hours.
Yep.
And I got really lucky. As he was attacking me, and as the life was going out of me, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
his cousin forgot something for lunch and just came home and found out what was going on because he heard the kids screaming because I'm in front of my kids while all this is happening.
Yeah.
He pushed him off of me, gave me enough of a chance to like breathe, after his hands were released from my throat, and
Yeah.
I was able to like pull the crib of my son, pull the crib like into a corner where I could put myself in the corner to
Yeah.
prevent him from grabbing me again after he punched his cousin and pushed him out the door. And then about 10 minutes later, the cops came. And they didn't
So,
even take him to jail.
of course not. Yeah.
He took the kids and then took them about a town about an hour and a half away. I had to get sheriffs involved to try to get my
Mm.
children back. It was just absolutely a madhouse. Um,
But thank God the cousin showed up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, right?
I mean,
It
really,
was just a nightmare. The
thank God. Yeah.
whole Yeah, everything was a nightmare.
It's
It
crazy.
continued to be a nightmare for 2 more years until I could get divorced for him,
Mm.
and it wasn't until, and then you go through all the stuff afterwards. You try to take care of the kids, try to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that he's taking care, try to make sure that he sees them. It was just rough. All of it was just rough. And it definitely makes you appreciate life
Yeah.
because at the same time, me looking back, I'm like, did I do something to deserve that? Like, what did I do wrong that 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 was okay for him to do stuff like that to me? And the same thing, like, that's how, like, it kind of all kind of transpired, and you just kept
Mm-hmm.
going and going. So then, well, if he's gonna do all this, then it's okay for me to do things like that.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
so then you turn into the monster that you're trying to get away from.
Yes. Yeah.
And, needless to say, everything's great now. We did get custody revoked from him,
All
uh,
right.
a much years later, just because he hadn't ever seen the kids. He'd never paid child support. Like, he
All right.
obviously wasn't a parent. And so then I got married and I moved to Central Texas and I started my career in hair and barbering at the service station. I worked with that woman for about 6 years. Intermittently, in between all of that, my whole life was all a cluster again,
By the
all
way,
because of the things that I chose. So this
don't
is
mean to
where it's
stop
like,
you,
yeah,
but you got some cheerleaders in here. You got Terry Vondren, and then Joel Riot Fukuda.
that's
Uh,
Joel.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring those up because those are people that are in your corner
Yeah.
along with everybody else. So yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
continue.
It's which is I think is why it's so much better, through all the drug use, through all of like the conning, through always like trying to like get yourself through situations where you also have to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah,
Like I had to really look face to face with myself because I was even with my last marriage, like I was making some questionable decisions because I was not happy.
yeah.
I didn't have self-worth. I didn't have any self-respect. I was always being manipulated. I
Mm-hmm.
was it was I found out about all of my medical ailments. So I have a lot of medical ailments and conditions that
Mm-hmm.
really have kind of hindered me. I have fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, I have migraines, I have a busted back, but I've also been in 7 different car accidents.
Mm.
Uh, really, actually 9. So I have traumatic brain injuries on top of my autism, on top of my ADHD, on top
Yeah,
of I have depression and anxiety because of all these things. I'm a little OCD. I am all over the place because of all the things that I do.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I have teenagers and I remember all the things that I went through, all the
yeah,
situations that I put myself into, and I look around at what's missing in the world. And I just know that I am the kindness that I never received.
yeah. So,
And I'm
so,
the empathy that nobody's ever given.
this is my question, and because I've found this myself is that I tend to do a lot of things to suppress all the crap that I've been in, you know,
Yes,
and
me too.
to try to forget it. Is that was that your like your whole coping mechanism? Is that
Absolutely.
I must do all this to forget all this negative shit that I've been through, you know?
Absolutely.
Um,
And you
which
fill
is
it with
not
these
healthy. We
things
both
that
know that.
because it's
Yeah,
not because something's lacking, you try to fill it with things that really aren't as
yeah,
fulfilling that you think that they are. And that's one of my problems is I try to fill things when I'm sad
yeah.
with things like doom scrolling or yeah, just I would say doom scrolling is my worst one because I can
What
sit
is
on my phone for like so doom
all right?
scrolling is when
So
you're sitting up at night and you're just
yeah,
scrolling.
okay, all
You're
right,
just
gotcha.
scrolling or you're just watching these 15-second videos when I knew that I could have probably finished that coloring book faster. Like,
Yeah. Well,
but I'm an insomniac too.
yeah.
So it's just like this endless like circle and this
It's
hamster wheel. But I'm also
it's
in this
one.
place in my life where I just don't feel like I'm still doing not enough. Like
Yeah,
there's that demon that comes back that it's always me. I'm always questioning what I'm doing or what I'm thinking. What did I do to put myself in this situation? Am I doing it right? It's it's all the time.
yeah.
Because of my brain, it doesn't ever shut off. And it's just I always question myself. I
Well,
always
I
question
can.
if I said all the things and it's just
Yes. All right.
ugh.
So I like what Angie said. Replacement addiction is dangerous if you don't find the right methods. It takes time. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
I can sentiment from Aaron Johnson, Jeff Harris, probably everybody else up in here. You're doing the right thing right now, and and it's okay to to take a breather every now and again. You know, because you don't want to do
Yeah.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. You do 5,000 things at once to forget one awful bad thing, but it's not, especially for me, it's not healthy,
Yeah.
because you're uh, I was just suppressing the negative shit that I've been through, with
Yeah.
good stuff, and until I dealt with that negative stuff that I've been through, it was still there regardless, and like in the back of my mind. So, like I finally had to be like, all right, I got to take care of this before I can take care of all this over here. But
Exactly.
and that's
It's a
I feel
lot.
like a lot of people um deal with that. A lot of because that's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a way for us to forget about all the traumas and forget about all the negative stuff, but it's also very unhealthy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Which is right. You're also very right. Which is
yeah,
why I'm really glad that about 4 years ago, me and some moms, who are also business owners, got together and we created a healing group.
yeah, that's awesome.
So, and that healing group really allowed us to get through and allow us to process the things that we've been through, because
Yeah,
at the like top surface level of it, anything that we're going through right now on our day to day in our present, it's triggered by things that we haven't dealt with in the past.
yeah,
I learned that the hard way. And I'm so much better because I know that I'm not the person that I used to be. Unfortunately, for me, it makes me read the room so much stronger than anyone else. So I
hmm
know when somebody doesn't like me. I know when somebody's agitated with me. I know when somebody's sad, hurt, or mad. It's an energy that is put off. So when you go into these large environments with all these people that I'm starting to surround myself by, I can immediately get triggered by just an emotion because I've felt and dealt with all of those emotions
yeah,
before. And I really feel like it really put me in a really good space. And you could talk with some of the people that know me because I'm ridiculous. I am pure free entertainment. Like, I am ridiculous. I am the Hot Mess
yeah.
Express. Get on the train. It's going to be a hell of a ride. I'm only a little put together, only a tiny
It's
bit.
okay.
And it makes
It
me
happens.
human.
Yeah,
It makes me
it makes us
human.
all
And it
humans.
and it makes me capable of understanding that when I make a mistake, I'm able to own up to it.
Yeah,
I have spent all of these years trying to figure out ways to hold myself accountable to make it better for not only for me, but for my life and for the people around me, which is where the enriched comes from and
yeah,
not rich but enriched. Because we're not rich. I'm not rich. I wish I
yeah,
was rich because then I could give all of the charities that I want, all of the money. But I'm
yeah,
just not there. But I am enriched. I'm enriched. And I
yeah,
truly feel like, in the sense, when you're running a nonprofit, especially the one that has what core values I have,
yeah,
you have to lead by example. So how can I have this organization and not lead by example from it? So before I founded this nonprofit, I definitely did all of my homework. I created these amazing support systems. I have such great support systems in my life right now. I have such amazing friends. I have such amazing family. I am absolutely 100% just overwhelmed with how much support that I get and the love that comes around and the people that really do want to get to know me and see what I'm trying to do.
yeah.
And it
Because
was a couple
you're
of
doing
years
awesome
ago.
things.
I'm trying
Yeah.
because I feel like they need to get done. Like, something needs to happen. Like, something needs
Well,
to get. There's so
we've
much terribleness in the world right now.
yes, especially where you live. We talked earlier, and you told me stories about losing one of your best friends. Who got killed. And you talked about the way that the community is down there, and how full of hatred it is against the society.
Just
Um,
in general.
yeah.
It's so
So
terrible. We had outside our friends hosted a Yule Ball. They're Norse pagans.
Yeah.
That's their culture. That's where
Yep.
they're from. That's the things that they grew up with. And there was about 75 people in a bar here in town that we rented out the space for, and they had 2 regular customers that came in that night. And those 2 people were capable of making 75 people feel uncomfortable.
That's
They were
insane.
they were hollering out white power.
Yeah.
They walked up to a black guy in our group and looked at him dead in the face. And as a Hispanic woman, as a Latin woman, I'm a Latina. Um, it was so the fact that that place is less than a mile away from my home.
Yep.
It's terrifying that there's not a safe space, that
Yep.
there's nowhere for us to just go and be people. Now, I will gladly say that if you're a rapist or a pedophile, or if you're just a sociopath, then maybe we need to deal with you differently. But I just
Yeah.
don't feel like somebody, like a woman holding hands with another woman, or being married to another woman, or a man holding hands with another man, or a person that is dressed in drag that is not around small children is a problem. I
Yeah.
believe that
Amen.
people should do what they want as long as
Yeah.
it's not hurting anybody. And
We're all human beings.
we're all
It's
human beings.
you had the good humans and you had the bad humans, and unfortunately,
Exactly.
like we talked earlier, that there's so much hatred just based on who we are, like the color of our skin, our beliefs,
Yeah.
whether it be religion or sexual beliefs. But in my eyes, um, everybody's human. We're all the
Yeah.
same. It
And that's
doesn't
because it's
matter.
so funny, because the stereotypes don't end there.
No, they
Not
don't.
where
Yeah,
I'm from.
no,
There's stereotypes in tattoos, and
yeah.
the amount of income you have, or what you're driving, or where you're
That's
living at. There's
that's
just so
everywhere.
many.
It's sad. Yeah,
And
but
you're
I
right,
do like.
though. There are good people and bad people on both sides of everything, just like in politics. Not that we're going to talk about that,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
crazy.
Well, I do like this. I like what Andrew Matson said. Is that riches
Yes,
is more than money and possessions. I feel rich based on the people I surround myself with and the experiences I've had. And that's the
I
thing.
love
I'm not
him.
rich. I'm not rich by any means, but like you said, I'm enriched because
Yeah,
of who I surround myself with.
yeah.
And that's so we're talking about that. Let's just get onto that. That awesome organization. So when did you found like when did that organization start up?
So it kind of started up as a necessity.
All right.
I have been working with nonprofits. I started at first with a little help from a couple of different organizations in our area here. Central Texas Beard and Mustache Club
Yeah.
really kind of helped me
Great.
get off the ground the first
Great
couple
group of
years.
people.
And
Yeah.
then I was able to, create it and do it all on my own, my third year, and now my fourth year.
Yeah.
So I always wanted my barbershop and my, I guess, philanthropic footprint to be much bigger than just my barbershop. I
Yeah.
wanted my barbershop to be a staple in the community. I wanted to mean more than just me opening a business to get money.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea. I had already hosted and helped sponsor car shows in the past before my very first bearding event, and I'd also done school supply drives with haircuts
Yep.
um, for many years before I decided to open up my own barbershop and have this event. So I had been in the bearding community. I had already gone to my fair share of bearding competitions. I worked for a pretty terrible person. She definitely taught me the things not to do
All right.
while also understanding a lot of other things. I definitely have had a lot of bad influences in my life that kind of led me to be the good influence that I want to be now.
Yeah.
so I had this idea, and I said, I'm going to host a beard and mustache competition with a car and bike show, and I'm going to meld them together because those are my two favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out and I had them help, and it was great. And now I had to separate the finances. So if you're a nonprofit, and if the nonprofits in this world don't understand, but I think they will, I was doing everything out of my business. Everything was being paid for out of the business account. Well, I got audited. Not once, but twice. And the IRS does not play.
Nope, they don't.
They want everything. And it was extremely, extremely stressful. So, fast forward, I knew that my nonprofit was going to be more than just this event.
Yep.
I knew that there was a need in my community that we are truly lacking because my community just isn't capable of paying for it.
Yeah.
So the inspiration came for community center. After meeting with different members of our community, they specifically stated that there was no money in the city. The only funds that we had, they were able to cover the golf course and the cemetery. And that's all the funds. All the funds are gone after that. There's literally nothing else that anybody can do. And they looked at me and said, if a community center was going to happen, it would have to be privately funded.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Because if it's privatized, then you get to keep all the other hands. Like politics can't get involved, churches can't get involved. It literally allows it to be just a free space for anybody and everybody if you choose, if you see fit. So here comes Not Rich but Enriched. We needed a way and an organization to allow ourselves to be able to apply for grants and have all these events. So right now we're currently going to be having our 4th annual event that I'm super excited for because we're actually raising money for Negrete Firefighter Foundation and Project Heroes.
Are you talking about this event right here?
Yes, I am. On the 26th and the 27th. And Karaoke for a Cause is that Friday night. I'm super excited for it. Yeah. I don't know if you have a picture of that one. But
I do not. I actually took this from Talking Beards.
Cool, so yes. Yeah. So it's amazing. And this year we're gonna be the first. This is brand new information. Nobody's heard this information. So I'm going to go ahead and announce the secret MC that is going to be on. So her name is Divine Intervention, aka Jim. She is going to be our first ever drag queen MC that has ever been on any beard competition that I've seen. Last year, she competed as a contestant, and she was the first drag queen to participate in the Natural Whiskerina competition. So I'm really excited to have her out. She's a great person. You can talk to her however you feel comfortable. She is amazing.
Wait, hold a minute. Hold a moment. Hold up.
Yes! Yes,
right there.
You, Jim!
Yes.
Oh, me? Absolutely amazing. Such a great person. Such a great support system.
I saw it pop up, and I'm like, all right, I gotta just pop it up here. Well, that is awesome.
Yes, I'm so excited.
What an awesome thing to bring both communities together, and
that's what I hope to do.
Yes.
And I understand, unfortunately, that's going to be a hard thing for certain people in the area.
Not in the bearding community.
And but maybe not just the bearding community, but other communities. And I just try to be understanding. But yes, we are going to have a drag queen MC this year, and I'm super stoked about it.
That is awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I'm so happy about it.
I hope I hope that the people that are attending will look past the negative connotations, because it's some negative connotations out there.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful,
so sweet.
It is a beautiful art. It is a beautiful thing for somebody to be uniquely them. And kudos for Jim. Right, Divine.
Yep.
I think it's awesome.
Me too.
It's
I agree.
it's great. So it, you're doing all that simply because of
Yeah.
all the crap that you went through in your life. You
Yeah.
you overcame the negative, and now
Yeah.
you're doing something powerful and positive. So
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you too much longer because it is your son's birthday, and you're naked and afraid out in a
Yeah.
campground right
Out
now
in
in
the
Texas.
campfire.
Um,
Camp
but
camp
let's
campground, not
let's
campfire.
let's
It's
bring
gonna
up
be a campfire.
something else that you're doing that I think is pretty awesome. That is going to help benefit two causes. Okay. Um,
Yes.
one of
I'm
those
really excited about this one.
that it's benefiting is not rich but enriched to help get that community center. But
Yes.
then the other person that it is going to benefit is a dear friend of the podcast, uh, Mrs. Natalie Johnson. We everybody knows her, and
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody that's watched the podcast knows who she is right now. But let's talk about this real quick. The breeding activity book. Um, I don't have the pages, but I can tell you it's simply
I
amazing.
it
It's
was
it's amazing.
it turned into so much more than I expected. And I
Yeah,
actually just got the actual books in hand yesterday and I opened it up and I was so impressed.
yeah,
I'm so, so impressed with how it turned out. I really do hope that it sells. So the weekend of the event, which is next weekend,
yeah.
we are going to have most of the people that have already purchased, or if you purchase before the 28th, you will have copies autographed by
There you
people that are
go.
going to be at the event.
My
So,
wife just chimed in. We will post a link on the Shape the Podcast page for anybody who's interested in getting that awesome activity book. Um, 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 I'm gonna drop a surprise to all you. I'm gonna just go ahead and drop a bomb. I'm gonna be in book number 2.
yeah, you are.
Yep.
So,
Well,
so
I'm
book
not going
number
to be.
two,
The
I
Shape
am
logo is
super
going to be in book number
excited.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you and your logo are going to be in book number two. Book number two, I have a couple of different options that I'm going with, but I really think I want to do couples of bearding
that's awesome. I like
and
it.
have like the couples on it. I'm also open to doing clubs, their logos. I'm also up for doing like beard brands if somebody has a beard brand that they want me to do and put in there as a coloring page. Um, it
I
is
think
in the process of if I'm going to ask for like donations to be in the book,
yes.
maybe in the
That's
future.
I think that would be a great thing. And
I've
can I
learned so
request?
much in this process.
Can I have a request? Can
Yeah.
you throw in an awesome drag queen in that as well? Because come on now, that would be
Yes.
great. I'm just
Yes.
saying. All right,
I can
let's
probably do
mix it
that.
up.
Yes,
By the
we can
way,
definitely mix it up.
one of my future guests, Justin Cheatham, he's ordering 5 tonight for his competition in May.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
As
Um.
of right now, the numbers that I looked at, it was $330 has
So
what has
far,
been raised so far. So it'd be
that's
split
well.
down the middle, so 125 each.
It'll be more because we want to get that community place, that enrichment center.
Yes.
All right, let's just call
Yes.
it that. We're gonna
That is
call it
what
an
it's gonna be
enrichment center.
called. Did
Yeah,
you read my business plan? You
I
saw
did
my
not.
business plan.
I did
You
not read
find
your
out.
business plan, but
It is an
um,
enrichment center.
I would like that. Especially for the town that you live in that is so fueled by just race and
Yeah.
religion and everything else to have this center for it to be a safe space for everybody to come to, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
It's gonna be family oriented. We'll have a
yeah,
bar called
it's
Socially
great.
Awkward Sober Bar.
All right, awesome.
We're
So
gonna
so
have
you'll
little
serve mocktails.
Yes, we're gonna have mocktails. And
I
then we're
like
gonna
it.
have podcast for recording studios.
Yeah,
We're gonna have open spaces for yoga and meditation and dancing. We're going to have so many different things to allow people from the community, families and individuals, adults, to be able to come out and just enjoy and socialize in a safe, sober,
Yeah.
inclusive space, along with it being accessible to lots of different people with abilities, because
Yes.
it really lacks in our communities. Like, we don't have any sidewalks. The hop really isn't like a super fun bus to get on. And, everybody's just one of the
Time to
things,
make it
yeah,
super fun. We got
it's
to
so
make that bus
sad.
super fun.
And, the more sad things that happen and the more miserable people are, the worse that life looks. So
Yeah.
if I can have any change in that, I know that our communities will be happier and there will be less hate in our communities, and there will be more love and more people and more understanding, and we're going to be able to accomplish and overcome so many more struggles that we have in a in such a micro level that'll make
Hmm.
such a big deal on a macro level, that hopefully someday in the future we'll be able to share what we're doing right with other communities and other rural places, to allow them to also make the same changes and allow other people in other communities. So it's really just, if I can just go through this and make some mistakes and take some
Yeah.
notes, those notes inevitably will be able to share with a whole bunch of people, not just in communities, but in the bearding communities,
Yeah.
in not nonprofit communities, and just hopefully to be able to touch everybody,
So
especially
how
on a
close?
mental health level.
How close are you to the city of Belton?
I am about 40 minutes away.
Okay. I have contacts in Belton. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I could get you in contact with that. I'm sure that would help out. Um, one's a friend of mine that I grew up with. He is actually a pastor of a church down there.
nice.
In Belton. So I do have some contacts down there that I'm sure that would be glad to assist in
Yeah,
helping you get this great organization and this
yeah,
enrichment center. All right, because like you said, we're not. And I firmly believe that yes, there are a lot of rich people out there, but I think that
yeah.
those people are missing enrichment. If that
So
makes sense, you know.
yeah, they really are. But it's hard to enrich others when you have such greed and
That's right.
such
Yeah.
and there's such limited resources that they're saying, and it gets really hard out there. And we could use all the resources. One of the
Yeah.
things that we lack in this community also is mental health resources. One of the great things about You Matter
True.
too, what the Clinks are
Yeah.
doing out in LaGrange, there's nothing being done like that here. So
Nope.
I have
Yeah.
reached out multiple times to our organizations here, and they have no answers for me. So year 5, not this year, but next year, April 5th, 4th and 5th, is our 5th annual event,
All
and
right.
it will forever be known as the Extravagant Shit Show, and our theme from now and forevermore will be oddities and curiosities.
All right.
Because that's what we are. We're all a little
Well,
odd. We're weird,
I
not broken.
I can tell you this, like I told you earlier on in the week. Shape the podcast will do anything and everything to help you and that journey.
Yeah.
I believe that the more people that we bring together to light that spark and
Yeah.
create that positivity, because
Yes.
that's all it takes. Uh, that's all it takes is a spark, you know. And by the way, Jeff, it's okay. You're gonna be there in spirit. And
Yeah, we love you.
yes, I don't know if everybody knows or not, but Jeff actually had an accident. Uh,
Yeah,
so
he got his foot
yes,
broken. His poor
yeah.
car.
So big prayers to Jeff. Um, hope that everything goes okay there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think what you're doing down there is it's needed. Um, and you are enriching and touching lives like no other. I tell you, look.
Yeah.
Here's another guy. All right, this is another guy whose lives you're touching, and we talked about this, Mr. Don
Yes.
Wayne. All right,
I think I told him that. I don't know if
yeah,
Don Wayne remembers that conversation, but I was like, he just reminds me so much of my uncle.
yeah.
Maybe not
Don,
like even
you
even the tone of his voice. He
I
reminds
tell
me
you,
a lot of my favorite uncle that I just lost.
Don's been a supporter of the podcast since day one, and it's awesome to have those guys and girls, because
Yeah.
we need that, everybody needs that
Oh,
support,
yeah.
you know,
Oh,
um,
absolutely. Sometimes I get
especially,
overwhelmed. Sometimes I don't feel
yeah,
like I deserve it because so many things in my life have told me that I don't. So many times
yeah,
I felt like it was like I'm not worth it. Like I don't deserve it because of all the things that I had done in my past or something like that. But to have like the support and to truly be me in my true self, because that's one of the things that's been really hard for me over the years is really just being me,
yeah,
being who I am. So, cuando tienes verdad is a saying in Spanish that I actually heard in a dream. Even though I am of Hispanic and Mexican descent, my family thought it would be funny to not teach us any Spanish so they could talk about us. So, in a dream, cuando tienes verdad, it actually means when you have truth. And that's what I live by every day. I
yeah,
am my truest self. I am genuine and authentic. I am who I want to be when no one's in the room.
yeah.
I am proud of myself and the decisions I make, even when no one is around. And I can genuinely say that and be happy with who I am today because I am different than who I was just 3 years ago. I
Me
learned a
too.
lot of things.
Me too.
I made a lot of mistakes, 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I I learned about other ways about communication, and I just feel like as long as we're all still growing, and as long as we're all still like moving and hustling and holding ourselves accountable and setting boundaries where boundaries need to get set, because that's really hard for us, is to
yeah,
set boundaries and just say no sometimes.
yeah. It is.
I do know you said you wanted to keep this at an hour, but if it's okay with you, I
No.
would like to read one page from
Oh,
my poetry
totally.
set
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. You
nobody has.
keep it going. Yeah. By the way, the a total of 7 books that I know of have been ordered just through this podcast right now. So
Oh, that's
there's
so
that.
cool.
Uh, yeah.
I like
So
highlighting that map too. I think it's super cool. Like to see
well,
like where it's all going. And I get to tell my 75-year-old mom, like, guess what, mom? It's going to Maine now. And she was like, really?
I mean,
Maine? And I'm like, yeah,
you already have Ohio on there because of Ghost,
yes.
but
Uh-huh.
you now have Ohio on there because of me and my wife, and then
Yeah.
you also have Florida on there as well. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
it's
go ahead and
crazy.
read that because we talked about this earlier. Um, I think it's beautiful the writings that you're doing. Um, you, you're
You
a
got to
poet.
find a way to be creative in it all.
Yes,
Like
you
learn
have a
how to
lot of
deal with it
creativity going on. Right?
a lot. We're having a crafting night on Sunday. But I don't know why, but I do feel like this just needs to be said here because I think that with your podcast being so geared to mental health, I think that some people just need this reminder.
By the way, you better throw Wisconsin on that map too.
Woohoo! Gladly. It's called life. Life is not done hurting us. Life is not done kicking us while we're down. Life does not care that we cry. Life does not care that others depend on us. Hell, it's hard enough trying to care when the rubble continues to be thrown on top of our bleeding souls. Life will take anything and everything and break it down if whether you want it to be let done or not. Just know that you are not alone in your heartbreak, in your chaos, in your puddle of tears. But life can't break you unless you let it. You create how you deal with obstacles. You create your own light of character. Through every attempt, every drag down, kick to the face, know that life can't win unless you let it. So pick up the pieces or leave them where they lie. The choice has and always will be up to you.
Well, I think that's a great way to end the podcast right there. I normally ask my guests at the end of the podcast to just share something out there, like a word of motivation, a word of something, and you just did it right there with that poem. That is the word of motivation. We don't need to forget that we are in control of our life. We are in control of our destinies. Um,
And right now
life is
I'm
what
on
we.
Naked and Afraid in the Wilderness, and Lupe is on
Yes,
top of the
yes,
truck.
yeah. Right now you're naked and afraid in the campground. All right, with the with two
Everybody
grown.
pray for me. There's
Yes,
mosquitoes out there.
there are bugs, but you're going to be camping on the back of a truck with an
On an
air
air
mattress.
mattress.
Yeah, you'll be okay. Well,
It's gonna be fine, guys.
yes, it will be. Well, I thank you for taking the time out to come on tonight. Um, I'm going to have you back on in the future, all right? Because I want to get an update about this enrichment center, all right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and like I said, I want to. I don't know. I feel like that not rich but enriched shaped the podcast. Talking Beards, whoever else wants to just
Oh man,
or
yeah.
organize something that can empower people to do good. I think that we should make that happen. So
I
we're
think
gonna make
that's
that.
the bearding community as a whole, though. I
Yeah.
think that you guys do an amazing job, and I'm definitely inspired by all the amazing people. You're great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome.
I am
Yeah.
so
Thanks.
grateful that you allowed me to tell my story. I definitely had told my story to a couple different people so I wouldn't cry.
Yes. Well, you already cried a couple times this week, right?
I
It's
did. I needed to
I
get it
have it on my
out
phone.
so I
It's
can come
evident.
on it as a
Okay.
professional. This is a
But
mask. That's this definitely a mask.
yes. Well, you did it. You made it through. I hope that you feel great because of it. It takes a strong woman, to come on and talk about the shit they've been through, but then it takes a stronger woman to do what you're doing, right? And yeah, I mean, you're like Andrew Matson said, you're extremely strong for telling your story, right? Um, so I appreciate you. I really do.
Yeah. I'm grateful. I definitely feel like I'm here for a reason. I'm excited to see what else comes of all the things that I'm working on and who I get to work on them with. I'm excited to make a really big difference and continue to make a big difference alongside of a lot of different other soldiers doing the same.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to kick you to the back. I'm going to close out the show. But
Yeah. Have a great
I
night, everybody. Thanks for tuning
yes,
in.
yes. Thank you, Nikki. We'll talk soon. Ah, what a good episode. It's great. I was prepared because I talked to her earlier in the week about it, and seeing her on Talking Beards, so I knew what I was going into. But please, everybody that's watching this and everybody that will be watching this, check out Not Rich but Enriched. Check out their Facebook page and Facebook group, um, and let's help out that great organization. Um, order you the awesome activity book that I shared a few minutes ago. That was also on Talking Beards a couple weeks ago. The bearding activity book. All right, get on there, order a couple. Again, um, benefits. It's gonna part of it's gonna go to the Not Rich but Enriched Corporation to help them um, get the awesome enrichment center going there in the city that they live in Texas. And then part of that will be going to Natalie Johnson, who everybody loves. So yeah, do it. Again, thank you all for being here every other week. I appreciate it. I like I said at the beginning of the show, I appreciate everybody reaching out after my story 2 weeks ago. Um, it's an amazing thing, and I couldn't do it without all you guys. Like I said, this podcast is not my podcast. This podcast is your podcast, um, and it's an amazing thing, right? We'll see you in 2 weeks. Well, we'll have another guest, and I tell you, this guest is going to be pretty awesome. Um, it's somebody that I've been wanting to have on for a while, and they keep on bugging me to come on. So I'm going to have on Mr. Scott Turner, Jaegerbomb himself. Um, so he's going to be my guest coming up in 2 weeks. And then after that, 2 weeks after that, I'm going to have Justin Cheatham on, or Cheatham and Sons. Uh, you do not want to miss, especially those 2 episodes. You don't want to miss Justin's. Um, he's got a great story. Um, but yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in for this hour show. And whatever you do this coming up weekend, make it positive. All right. Um, do something for somebody else because you never know what people are going through. All right. Um, if somebody calls you at 11 o'clock at night, answer the phone. If somebody sends you a message and you don't want to talk to them because you never know what they're going through. Look, love you all. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Love each and every one of you. All right. Have a great night. We'll see you in 2 weeks with another episode of Shape the Podcast.